Good to be here, everyone. I caught the last three pitches. They were great, and really excited to have all you here. And a thank you to all of the audience members that are from around the world that are voting and helping us figure out, a winner here. So really appreciate that. Um, I believe earlier today you heard from Amelia Hay, who works with us over at the AgeTech Collaborative. I wanted to spend a minute and just probably, hopefully extend what she talked about before jumping over to Ken, and then we'll get into our conversation. The HTech Collaborative is something that we've been working on for about 2.5 years. The goal of the HTech Collaborative is to build the single largest ecosystem in the world for any company that cares about age tech and wants people to age well or age better. And as you can see today, we've got some great solutions that were here. It doesn't just focus on health. It focuses on everything from health to financial services to fun, right? And so we're really excited to have an opportunity to work with HITLAB to try and figure out how do we find the best companies and have them join our movement here. The collaborative has almost 400 companies at this point. One of them happens to be Samsung Health and Ken, and we'll talk about our partnership and what we do in a minute. But we're excited. So for all of you that are out there today that aren't a startup, that are in the audience, if you're a venture capitalist, I think we have over 85 VCs that have joined the collaborative. If you're a large organization, if you're anyone that wants to run a pilot with a startup, I would urge you to please reach out and join the collaborative as well. We're really trying to create this category and make sure that we are convening and connecting everyone, and so that we can bring the best solutions to market. So with that, I'm going to pass the baton to Ken and let him talk a minute about himself and Samsung Health.
Thanks, Andy. And I'll echo much of what you just said. I think that there were incredible pitches. I do not envy the judges at this point, having to determine but they were incredible finalists. It's also an exciting time to be partnered with AgeTech Collaborative and with HITLAB. It's also a fantastic time in the industry, specifically because I think that we're seeing a new generation of smart home technology, living and connected home, aging in place products and services. And my job at Samsung Health specifically, is to help find places for these products to land and be able to promote them out to the broader population. I bet many of you are going, I had no idea that Samsung was in health. I've heard it for 5 years. I've called into health systems and hospitals, and we were starting to change that story. And I would tell you that the Samsung Health group that I'm part of is very new. We started January 1st of last year under the leadership of our Global Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Han Pak, who's in South Korea. Our mission is to change lives of billions, and that's with a B. And I think that we're capable of doing that on a global scale. However, I also would say that we're humble enough to know that healthcare is a team sport, and it's going to take all of us to pull all of this together to be able to support the needs of the consumers or care recipients out in the marketplace. So, with that said, what we are building at Samsung Health is, I'll say, the connective tissue between disparate single point solutions and being able to harmonize that with consumer consented personal health record information to create insights and interventions and nudges that would be displayed upon the Samsung Health app. The care recipient and the caregiver will have complete visibility to that. Within that harmonized data, we're able to get those next generation type of insights. Rather than having single points of data and trying to determine how to operationalize it, we can help support that. So with that, Andy, we can kind of kick off some of the conversation here.
Yeah, so I think that was a great lead-in, Ken. I'm going to step back and share a little bit of how this all came to be, if you don't mind. It was probably a little more than a year ago, right? When AARP and Samsung, big AARP, big Samsung, had many conversations for years. I think it dates back like 5, 6, 7 years. And we're always trying to figure out how do we work together. And we didn't really get to a point where we were figuring out a good way forward. And then when we launched the HTech Collaborative, we were really looking for enterprises to join the movement with us that had a similar vision. And so I said to one of our contacts internally, I said, hey, can you get me back in touch with Samsung? I think there's something here. And at the time, what I didn't know is that Ken was there, that Samsung Health was a thing. We did know Dr. Pak, and that was really the reason I reached out. And that phone call probably was in April or May of last year, maybe, which led us to an all-day session out in Mountain View, and we had a great brainstorming session. And I think it was about 6 months later, we agreed on what we were trying to do and what they were trying to do were not that far off. Now, albeit we're trying to connect dots, right? We're not trying to actually bring product to market at the HTech Collaborative. Well, Ken's connecting dots and bringing a product to market vis-a-vis his solution. And so I think it was, about 6 months later, we showed up at CES in a pretty big way. For those that don't know, AARP and the HTech Collaborative last year were the single largest exhibitor on the Venetian side of CES. And we happened to talk to Samsung about a year ago again around, hey, could we do something really interesting? Could we create a house with about 400 square feet?
Yeah.
Right. And it was like, let's see, let's build this house. Let's figure out how can we sort of start to showcase, because the general sort of thesis that we share is that while there's a lot of really great solutions, and we heard a lot of really great solutions today, the thing that's missing is the connection of all of the data. We see thousands and thousands of point solutions all the time, and in and of themselves, they're great. But imagine the power, the contextual intelligence you can gather. And so that's what, Ken, I'd love for you to share a bit about like our conversation, what that led to, how Samsung Health is really embracing this and moving forward, and a little bit maybe of how you see the relationship from your perspective, going back a year till where we are today.
Yeah, I remember very distinctly sitting in Mountain View, California, in our corporate offices out there, and the concept of creating this living lab and the CES Samsung Health House with the ATC companies embedded within it, and how to show that in a contextual way to be able to pull this data together to support consumers. I'm so honored to have been part of that, and would also say that as we look into the horizon into CES next year, I think that we'll see this in a bigger and even better way. There was both in footprint as well as in capabilities shown at CES 2025. We've taken this a little bit of actually going to build a house, and we may actually end up doing 2 physical homes, where we will stand up one that will be for commercial purposes to be able to use as a showcase or model center. So it'll be for residents of this particular community, and I'll go ahead and share. It's going to be at the Villages, the world's largest 55 plus active adult community. It's located in Central Florida between Ocala and Orlando. About 51,000 people. That's a lot of people. They're 55 plus. Very vibrant community. And we'll use it for those residents, guests from outside, press and media, to be able to come in. And then we'll also have a secondary experiential house for short-term stays, where people can come in and we'll be able to get user experience, user feedback, focus groups, those types of things. So as we look at this, we're making big bets into how to support smart home connectivity and connected homes for purposes of longevity and for vitality.
So I just want to make sure that I understand, that everyone really gets what you're doing here. So if I'm going to retire and move to the Villages,
and
I'm going to build a home, often when you build a home, you have to go pick out your tile, you have to go pick out your, paint, whatever, right? So what you're saying is there will be a Samsung Health House.
That's
where
right.
if I was going to build a home, I could go in the same manner I would go pick out my tile. I can go into the Samsung Health House and go, oh, wow, that's an awesome remote monitoring system. And I love that refrigerator. And then that would all come together when I build my house?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it can also be done as a remodel or a retrofit project as well. So it'll be very much an a la carte type style selection process. We don't believe that every resident is going to need every product or service available. It will be very much related to their personalized, it would be a very bespoke type of arrangement from selection process. So,
I see there was a comment here, and I was about to touch on this. So the natural inclination is to think, okay, great, this is going to be a Samsung house, it's going to be Samsung everything. You know, what I know about this because of our relationship is that, yeah, there'll be some Samsung tech there for sure.
sure.
Right? Talk a little bit about what else will be there.
Yeah, so obviously we're going to have Samsung appliances, right? And that's not going to be a surprise. And there's some intelligence associated with that. But we're also partnering with ATC and ATC companies to be able to bring those in, as well as some other third-party companies that we believe that are going to bring value to the residents of that community. So as we look at this, this is very much a partnership-driven opportunity to showcase the best of, whether that be product or ecosystem or platform.
And so moving forward, how would a company, a startup, many of the companies here today, how do they work with you? Like, what do they need to do?
I think they have to reach out to me. That's the beginning point. Yeah, I mean, I would tell you that the integration piece of this is really important, right? It's not going to be where the data can stand alone by itself. We're going to want to have the ability to create this environment where data flows in and then it flows back out as well. So the sharing of that data to support the care recipients and the caregivers to be able to impact lives in a healthy and more meaningful way is really important.
And that's going to be done vis-a-vis an SDK, APIs.
It will
How
be.
are you?
Absolutely. Yeah, there'll be an SDK that'll be available to be able to write into the Samsung Health app.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, so everyone out there that's listening today, I hope you're really taking a note of what Samsung Health is doing here, what HITLAB Collaborative is doing, and partnering with Samsung Health. I'm super excited. For the longest period of time, I wanted to build for our startups, and we have almost 200 startups now, a marketplace of sorts, and I can't. And it's unfortunate, but in this case, through our partners like Samsung Health, that becomes a possibility. So Ken, I thank you for the effort that Samsung Health is putting forward, for the partnership that you have with us. And we're really looking forward to growing the partnership and being able to bring all of you startups that are here today along for the ride. So thank you, Ken, for being here today, and thank you for all that you do.
My pleasure. I don't think we could do it without you guys as well. So it's like I said, it's a team sport.